Welcome to today's Insights from AU webinar. I'm Alan Stone, Business Area Director here in the UK for the Architectural and Engineering. This is the first day of the Future of Design, Make and Build and Operate series. We've got a great lineup of speakers today. Some of my colleagues from within the Symetri Europe group, some customers and some representation from Autodesk. So I'm going to start the session off today with some key takeaways from this year's AU. I'm joined today by my colleague Jon Hind, who's our Business Development Director, Gareth from Purcell and Joe from AHR. Morning guys, how are we doing?
Morning all.
I thought we'd start off today just having some general chat around AU. I was at AU last year in New Orleans. It was quite negative throughout the event, and obviously post-event, they moved back to their traditional venue in Vegas this year. So it'd be good to get your views on how you think AU went this year. Do you want to start off, Jon?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great to be here today. Looking forward to a lot of interesting content and presentations, so that's going to be really good. Yeah, in terms of AU, this was actually, I think it was my 9th AU, including AUs at London and New Orleans. This was the first of my AUs where I attended without a laptop, which was, took a bit of convincing through the CEO and my wife, but, it meant that I properly engaged with the event. I kind of talked more to the clients and to Autodesk, so I got a lot out of it from a personal perspective. And I think, the fact that the F1 was there and that the Sphere was launched, it just meant that there was a real kind of automotive and design and construction theme to Autodesk University this year. And I think, Alan, to your point as well, Andrew Adagnos mentioned at the very start of the keynote about the challenges from last year, which I think was quite a brave thing to do. But I think this year they delivered in every respect.
Joe, Gareth, I believe you've been to AU in the past. I don't think you was there at New Orleans last year.
From my perspective, that was my first AU.
Oh, it was your first one? Okay.
First one attending, first one speaking at. So I had a real pressure on me. But no, I found it very, very informative. It is very manic and there's a lot to do. But once you get yourself into it, it really becomes quite a good day. And you do get to meet a lot of people and you get to discuss a lot of things, which is very, very good.
And yourself, Joe?
From my perspective, it's actually my 3rd AU visit, albeit the first 2 were over 10 years ago. So it's been quite a while. They were both in Las Vegas as well. Generally speaking, I think the venue in Las Vegas is great. The facilities there, the staff, I can't fault it. I agree with Gareth. It's hard work. It sounds glamorous, a week or a few days in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
The classes start at 8:15 and run through till kind of 6:30. 3 days on the trot. It's pretty exhausting, but well worth it.
And Jon, we had a booth at the Expo. What's the Expo like this year? Obviously, it's a great place to actually go and meet some of the other vendors who work with Autodesk. What was the Expo like this year?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was mixed in between sort of meetings with Autodesk and clients, but on the stand as well. But we had a really good kind of position. I also got to meet some of my colleagues in America and actually see some of their own technology that I wouldn't have seen unless I kind of went to AU. So for me, it was an excellent place to be.
And talking about technologies, obviously, I think the key takeaways this year from the sessions was obviously Autodesk AI. That was high on most agendas, the former platform and sustainability. And we'll come on to you a bit later, Gareth, because your class was on sustainability. But the Autodesk AI platform, obviously, that's where they're going to make a lot of investment over the coming years. Any thoughts around that, Joe?
Well, I mean, AI for us is a key area at the moment of interest, and as it is for a lot of people at the minute. And we actually had a session with Jon and some of the rest of the team from Symetri earlier in the summer this year, a senior management session where we just kind of sat down and trying to understand what AI might mean to us, might mean to the industry. And we came away with kind of a lot of kind of positives and also risks as well associated with that. But one of the big key questions was, what are the likes of Autodesk going to do with this? So to see the announcement on the main stage, to see the strategy, I think, in terms of how Autodesk are rolling out AI at kind of various levels, both in the tools, kind of day-to-day helping hand, if you like, but also then at a platform services level. I thought that was quite interesting, and it kind of helped clear things up in my mind as to perhaps how we might approach a kind of practice strategy for AI, incorporating the Autodesk tools.
Gareth, any views as well on AI?
Yeah, I mean, agreeing with Joe there, trying to position yourself to understand what AI is going to bring in terms of functionality and business gain over just people just jumping straight on it and not understanding which direction they should go with it. I think the other thing that we got to mention as well, one of the other big announcements, was the data set, which I don't think you've put there, which is the separation now finally of data from the actual application and being able to harness that as an external resource that can then also use the AI and connect into other applications. I think is going to again be another big game changer from Autodesk's point of view. It is something that we're keen on, and how well will that work with AI will be even better to understand.
Yeah, I think the data set, docs is obviously going to be a big thing moving forward. I think the platforms themselves, they're all going to be built around docs. That was clear throughout the sessions, Nicholas's session during the week. Jon, AI at Symetri, we're looking at technologies as well, how we can implement AI in some of our technology. Have you got any views on that?
Yeah, I think through talking to the product manager, Jan who's talking today, we're looking at incorporating things like machine learning within our Navigate tool set. We've also developed the Navigate Zero platform for kind of the carbon analysis, and as well as the Forma extension as well, where we're looking to do the outside area analysis. So, in lots of areas, we're kind of trying to align to the Autodesk roadmap, and through talking to clients at events like AU, we get to make sure that our technology is actually aligned to the objectives of our clients.
And you mentioned Forma there, and that was another one of the key takeaways. I thought the opening general session, they did a case study, Project Phoenix, and actually, I think from a case study, from an opening session, I was engrossed watching it remotely. Jon, do you want to give some views on that from people who haven't managed to see the opening general session? Because I thought it was a really good case study, the Project Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that for me, that was probably the standout kind of case study that they delivered. So it was based, obviously there is a significant housing crisis in California. So there was an abandoned industrial space, and I think it was an MBH architects that have worked with Autodesk to look at how they can do the best kind of optioneering housing projects for people in that area. So they've used Forma to do that kind of AI generative design optioneering, and they've created some new kind of material based out of mushrooms, which I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of the material because I will get it wrong, but it's a fully kind of sustainable material, so that then they've been able to create the best possible community space in a completely net zero environment. And also they managed to deliver the scheme in 1 year, which I think is at least half the time it would have taken through kind of existing kind of design and construction methods.
Oh, sorry, Jon.
No, it's fine.
Anything to add on what you from the takeaways from AU on Forma itself?
From our perspective, well, it kind of, yeah, I mean, we looked at Forma kind of 6 months ago, I think, when it was initially rolled out. And I think one thing that jumps out to me is kind of one, how easy it is to deploy, because obviously it's web-based, there's no installs, which is always good news. But I think since in the last 6 months, it's had probably approximately 80 updates being rolled out since. So it's a constantly evolving tool, and one that I think we really need to have a kind of concerted push on, because it ticks a lot of boxes for us as architects and designers.
I think Amy Bunzel mentioned it's something like 500% increase in usage in the last 12 months as well. So it's obviously driving some significant change in the industry.
Yeah, I think that's one of their areas of investment over the next couple of years. Gareth, did you have anything to add on Forma itself?
Just like Joe there, we've been looking at Forma over the past couple of months, but Purcell being a sort of historic heritage practice, our key look at it is how will it work with existing buildings. It's great on a brand new build, but what can we do with it and how can we plug it into that existing environment? That would be the interesting attack for us on getting Forma more engaged. But yeah, we see major benefits from it.
And on that historical, you had a class, sustainability was quite high on the agenda as well at ADU this year. There was an announcement that the Revit Insights is going to have some tools embedded, but your look on sustainability was from a historical, looking at traditional buildings and what the carbon, how you can capture that data, analyze, etc. Do you want to give people an overview on your class?
Yeah, so a very quick overview on it. We were looking at, we first of all wanted to challenge the word historical and make people start to realise that every building that's now built needs to be viewed as a historical, because we need to get more life out of it. We've got to break the cycle of build it, demolish it, build it again, demolish it, and so forth. So the purpose of the class was to ask a lot of questions about what do we need to do with these buildings, what information should we try and capture and how best to capture that, and how do we present it as we use that information to inform clients and so forth about what else you can do with the building. So we looked at things like the Marks and Spencer's building on Regent Street, which has been sort of earmarked for demolition and then was refused by the government because the grid hadn't been decarbonised. Little things like that. How best can we use this technology to make better decision making right at the beginning of a project? And working with my co-presenter Karina, who is the project lead for Insight, along with Ian Malloy, we started to sort of look at what do you want to do with that tool? How does that tool need to evolve to start actually giving answers and results that can drive proper decision making? And we started to question, can you use it for overheating? Can you use it for daylighting? How else can you use it in terms of regulatory checking and stuff like that? So from our point of view, we think there's a lot that Insight can do, even down to the point of perhaps maybe it should even be spun out of Revit so that it can do more in other applications. So a lot of questions were being asked on it, and we asked a lot of questions of the audience, and that was our approach to that one.
And John, we're looking at sustainability. We've got Yantor and Shivani on later on. Do you want to just give a quick view on Symetri's positioning at the moment?
Around the Navigate Zero tool set, so we're going to kind of put the ability for people using our platform to make decisions based on the kind of the carbon load of designs. We've got a strategic partnership with One Click LCA. Our position, or our unique position, will be that you'll be able to have a traffic light system so that you can see the impact of the materials that you use in Revit directly linked from the One Click LCA platform. We now have what's called a minimal viable product, so people can register on the Navigate website and you can obtain access to that platform. And we're really looking forward to the feedback that our clients are going to give. We've had a huge amount of interest in that already, so I'd suggest people do it sooner rather than later.
And Joe, anything else to add on sustainability while we're talking about this subject?
Well, yeah, I mean, sustainability as designers, it's always kind of up there, and it's a big driving factor, both with existing buildings and new buildings as well. And it's something we've been driving towards to build kind of healthier buildings, obviously more sustainable in terms of carbon and operational. So I was really pleased to see the Forma analysis tools coming into play here, because I think as designers, the opportunity to make kind of informed decisions earlier in the design process is key. And I think up until now, the whole analysis side of things has been too kind of fragmented and too kind of slow to turn around results. So with the advent of the cloud technology and the sheer kind of computing power there, we're now able to get kind of near instant results that are good enough to make those informed decisions. So I think that's going to be key for us.
That's probably one of the key benefits of AU. We have the Autodesk keynotes, but there's also that networking. There's also that going to the classes, and I think that's kind of overlooked at times. Those classes, it's a great way of learning what's out there, what others are doing. I think, and one of the benefits I had from going last year was actually going and listening, and just connecting with people. John, I think it's probably as an investment. Like I said, we said earlier on, people see it as a glamorous trip to Las Vegas, but actually it's an investment. And I think if you had the opportunity to send people there and the opportunity to go, I think you can learn a lot from that 3 or 4 days, just being with fellow peers. Any views on that, John?
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of always beat myself up about Autodesk University, that have I delivered the value for Symetri when I go? But then I think back of all the meetings that I have, and including with clients and with Autodesk as well, and there just isn't another event like that in the calendar. I had the opportunity to meet with one of the business model kind of strategy leads at Autodesk. We had penciled in a 30-minute meeting. I think we ended up running for at least 1 hour 20 minutes and gave them so much feedback and got a lot of guidance, and then they've asked us to come back to talk about the journey of how we kind of transitioned from multi-user over to name user and moving to flex and all these different business models. And you just don't get the access to those kind of executives at Autodesk unless you jump on a plane and travel 5,000 miles. But at the end of the event, it's absolutely worth it. Hence why I've been 9 times.
I think you're right. It's the net for me. It's the networking. Just having that time. We're all busy people. Just having that time, conversations, listening in to classes. I think it's a great experience. Joe, how did you that first time you went, and what was the decision criteria for you going? Was it that part of learning, or?
I think the first time that I went, it was probably a bit different for me. It was kind of more learning, kind of hands-on classes. I think in previous AUs there was more kind of hands-on tools. At the time, Dynamo was this kind of new thing that was appearing on the horizon. But I think over the years, the purpose of AUs has kind of changed me, and the networking side of things absolutely is fundamental. I was kind of running around the expo hall, meeting people that I've been dealing with for years, but I've never had the chance to meet them face to face. And the same with the kind of product managers and the developers of the Autodesk tools. So you can attend the class. Obviously, they'll give the presentation, but you can ask questions, you can chat to them afterwards, and you very rarely get that opportunity. So that side of things is huge for me.
And for yourself, Gareth, you went as a speaker this year. Do you think you would go back just as a normal delegate to see the event?
Yeah, it'd be nice to do it from that side of things, not have the pressure of being a speaker. But as Joe said, and as you've said, it's a wonderful opportunity to meet like-minded people, to realise that you're not the only one with some of these questions or some of these issues, and you start to expand and learn from other people just by having those quick little 10-minute conversations outside of a class itself. It's one of those events where there's just so much to do that 3 days isn't enough time to get it all done in. Literally, you sort of come back and you re-register for a load of digital classes that you really wanted to see. So to me, that's again the other thing. There is just so much to do. You cannot do it all in 3 days. And as Joe said, you start at 8:15 in the morning, you go through to 6 o'clock at night, and I think that one thing you're desperate for by the end of that is some daylight somewhere, just to remember what time zone you're even in. So yeah. But it's good. I was absolutely amazed, and hopefully will attend future AUs.
And I think this year as well, the digital experience, like I say, I was watching from afar. It was great. The catalogues there, you can go back and I went back and rewatched one. So it's there. It's instant. I guess one of the questions maybe for us to feedback to Autodesk was, did you feel like there was anything missing from the experience? Do you want to start, Joe? Anything you'd like to see?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that was at previous AU that there wasn't this year was the chance to do certification in the products. So I've done that on the previous 2 years that I attended. I sat the Revit certification. So I was quite looking forward to that, but that wasn't there this year.
Yeah. Gareth, anything you found?
Literally just the clashes was that you'd come across with 3 classes that you want to do in the same hour, and it's like, okay, which one's more important? And that to me is really difficult to do, is that which one, all of them are important. And sometimes it'd be nice to be splitting them a bit further apart, but no, I mean, I was very impressed with it. It's very well organized. Everyone is very friendly, and everyone goes out their way to try and help you, especially from a speaker point of view, to make it a really enjoyable experience. And
John, as a veteran of AU, did you find anything missing this year that was been there in the previous pasts?
Well, I think first of all, just to address Gareth's comment, I never book in the hotel that the venue's at purely so I can see some daylight. Otherwise, by the end of it, you feel like you're a mole. But in terms of what was missing for me, it was really because the event started this year on the Monday and finished on the Wednesday. Normally, it starts on the Tuesday and goes through to Thursday. So I used to fly in on the Saturday or the Sunday, and then you've got the Monday where you can kind of do that kind of networking, have those kind of meetings without feeling like you're encroaching on delegates' time for the classes, because they're there to attend these kind of once in a year classes. So I felt like I was putting a bit of pressure on people, like, can we have a meeting? And it was just juggling the diaries. That was all for me.
I think you're right there. Having that Monday just gives you that other opportunity just to meet people before the event starts. I looked at your schedule, John. It was quite fast paced. It was packed. I think, like you say, that Monday just gives you that breaking day in, meet people, then into the event. So I guess we got a couple of minutes left before the end of our session. I'll go around. What was for you, John? That one key takeaway, or anything we haven't discussed? A minute or two. Is there anything?
Sure. So, for me, I just think, Autodesk are obviously, and they're going to continue to invest in the future of the cloud offerings. I think Symetri, we've positioned ourselves to support our clients in that journey through connecting and enhancing the existing desktop tools that are in place today. And I just think as we continue to develop our cloud solutions as well, so Forma and for the construction cloud, which is our Navigate Cloud Manager, Navigate Zero, I just think that the more we can develop these tools around with what our clients need, then the better it's going to be. So my takeaway is we need to keep going to these kind of events, and hence why we also have our Nordic BIM Summit as well, which is where we can get these kind of like-minded people together. So my takeaway is continue and more of the same.
And Joe?
So, sorry, go on, Joe.
Sorry, I was going to say, I'd mirror what John was saying about that. My takeaway was how developed and connected the cloud offerings are now with Autodesk. And I think kind of having the perspective of being a few years prior when this was being talked about, and now it's a kind of reality. I don't think there was a single class or demonstration that I attended that wasn't connected to the cloud and benefiting from that kind of interoperability. So that was my key takeaway, that's going to feed into our own kind of business cloud strategy as well.
Going, that connectivity piece, going back to the expo, you've got where Autodesk are now opening up their platform for others to work with. That's a great opportunity to go and find out what other people are doing in the area. And I think, again, being at AU, you don't really appreciate, unless you're there, you don't really appreciate what the magnitude of that expo and the amount of other vendors out there working with Autodesk, adding value. That connectivity piece, I think that's going to be key moving forward. And finally, Gareth, your key takeaways.
Yeah, I was going to say, Joe, there, and what you've said as well, the connectivity. There was a lot of announcements about, engaging with other manufacturers, which was nice to hear. It seemed that Autodesk are actually listening a lot more to the customers. So from our perspective here at Purcell, we have now engaged with what they call the AEC Customer Advisory Board, and that involved a lovely 4-hour meeting on the Wednesday, which was quite intense, but gave us a clear insight that they do really now want positive change and feedback into things like Revit and so forth. So that was really, really good to get involved with and to see what other disciplines want as well as other regions wanted around. So yeah, very good, but all looking positive.
I've got one final question for you, Gareth. We've got over 100 people on the call today. Would you recommend putting your name forward to be a speaker at one of the classes?
Yes.
Yes,
Go for it. Go for it. It's a wonderful event. It's a wonderful opportunity. It's very scary. Not that I was in the speaker ready room at 7 o'clock in the morning for a class that was starting at 8:30. So, there was no panic, but yeah, it's good fun. And I hope to repeat it for a couple of years, at least, I hope.
Yeah, excellent. I think that concludes our session. I just want to say thank you for joining us this morning.